Hello, I'm here today to talk about Reaction to the Past, the Russian Dynasty by me, Dakota. So for historical context, we start with in 1742, the Empress of Russia, Elizabeth, brought over Peter III from Germany to Russia and proclaimed him heir to the throne. In 1745, Peter III married his second cousin, Princess Sophia, which will be later known as Catherine the Great. Though the couple only had 2 children, Catherine swore they did not consummate the marriage. When Elizabeth died in 1762, Peter III became emperor and withdrew Russian forces from the 7 Years' War and made a peace treaty with Prussia. Peter III despised Russia, and this gave Catherine the support needed to stage a coup d'etat. Only 6 months into his rule, Peter was successfully forced from the throne by Catherine. He died a week later with rumors of assassination, so Catherine successfully ruled for 34 years. So for learning objectives, I have gender roles in society. How are they considered in this era? I've got the Russian Dynasty. So how does the line of succession work? What happens behind closed doors? And how does a coup d'etat take place? How do the different factions respond to this coup d'etat? For my concept and conflicts, I have Peter versus Catherine, who will control the throne. Catherine staging a coup d'etat. How does this happen? Who will the factions side with? And Catherine's fight for Russia's success. Once in control, who are her trustees? What topics should be covered in the courts? So I've broken down very simplistic into 3 different factions. So I've got the royalty, nobility, and essentially like the public opinion. So the serfs, who would be more of the indeterminates. So for my characters, I've got my royalty faction, which would be Peter III, who's currently Emperor of Russia, and then I've got Catherine the Great, who will become Empress of Russia. Then for nobility, I've got a couple different people. I've got Nikita, who is a diplomat, who advises the son of Peter and Catherine. He tends to be a little bit more neutral, but leans a little bit towards Catherine. I've got Ekaterina. She's a princess and the sister of the mistress of Paul, so she tends to lean towards Catherine for power. I got Grigory. He is a general in their military and also one of Catherine's lovers. I've got a chancellor who is an advisor to Peter, and I've got Ivan, who is also an advisor to Peter. So for the public, I've got 3 different people. I've got Alexander, Gora, and Manya. They are more of the indeterminates. They will determine which way the public swings on the opinions of the rulers. So for winning objectives, I've broken it down into each person and faction. So for royalty, it would be Peter III being able to keep the power and remain allies with Prussia. Catherine the Great staging a coup d'etat, becoming the leader of Russia, all while staying a loving mother throughout the game. Her children are her number 1. For nobility, each person has their own interests. So Nikita, he doesn't like Peter III, and I said previously, he wants Catherine to be regent until their son comes of age. Ekaterina wants Catherine to become empress for self-serving reasons, and Grigory wants Catherine to be on the throne for his own personal reasons. And then Chancellor and Ivan want to look out for Peter, but they also kind of want to look out for themselves as well. And so for the public serfs, their main objective is to walk away with most gain for the individual. For game mechanics, I've broken power up a little bit differently. So I have military power. Those in power of royalty are going to have the most power. So it would be Catherine and Peter, and then also Grigory because he's in the military. And then whoever has the most influence will have the more military power. And then I've got court power. So influence and gossip was especially important for those in court who did not have military power. And then the power of the people. Those citizens did not have power politically, could not vote. They do have the power of numbers, so then they could revolt or do something to influence the courts. And then the idea is the beginning of the game would set up as Peter on the throne, and each character should scheme and create powerful allies and each game session would be set to about every 6 months. Lastly, I have my sources. I've got my 2 secondary and my 2 primary. I've also included a YouTube video. It is a comedic satire about Catherine the Great. And yeah, I hope you guys pick my game.